Right, so you join us down here on the Sitch, which is an RH fisheries water. It's obviously full of big fish. And I'm joined by the PB consultant, Chris Holland. Obviously, do you want to tell us about, your time this week?
Yeah, so we're at the end of the season now, and then you can book the lake, which is known as open access. Sessions run Saturday to Saturday. So we got here Saturday, sort of mid-morning, early afternoon, and the weather since then has been absolutely atrocious. I mean, today it's glorious, but this is the first nice day since Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we've been keeping in contact, haven't we, the whole week to try and get some fish on film.
We had planned to get you here yesterday, but the weather's just been, it's not been possible, has it?
No. I mean, obviously, big winds and rain is just not ideal for anybody, is it?
No, it's not, mate.
Sometimes for fishing, but not so much for...
Not for what we need today.
Yeah.
So I jumped in a swim that I've had a lot of good hits out of during the syndicate season, as I fished last season on the syndicate. I didn't have anything for the first night, and the second night I snagged one just off my bait spot. But it became quite apparent that the fish were just held up at either end of the lake.
Yeah.
Now, I book this week each year, and last year we came the same scenario, but I was picking the fish up as they were going through. I fished the same swim last year. I didn't have a fish under £30 last year.
Which is a dream session to
most.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. Yeah, I had 8 fish and they were all over 30. The biggest were 35, 12 are common. But like I said, this week hadn't panned out as I anticipated. So I started trickling some bait in this swim that we're in now, about 3 days ago. And then yesterday morning, mid-morning, I dropped in it. And then since then I've had 4 fish, or say 4 fish in the last 24 hours, which is quite good, to be fair.
I mean, you're playing this down. I mean, you've had 4 fish, one including a 40-pounder.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to elaborate on the weights of them, you've had some damn good fish.
Yeah, the 40 was the biggest 40-pound too, and it was a nice pick me up after the week that I've had.
Well, you've had a battering, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not been nice, and the lads that have come with me, majority of them have never seen the place, so not to sort of blow my trumpet, but I know how to catch them out of here because I've been on the syndicate for quite a few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch up on that again in a sec, because that again is just ridiculous. The numbers of fish and the weights, and the amount of fish that you've caught out of here.
Yeah. So obviously the lads that have come with me that haven't been here before, they've sort of picked my brain, and they were sort of expecting me to lead the way, if you like, catch a few, but up until yesterday I've not been doing.
Well, I mean, maybe that's done you a favour because it's disheartened all the other lads, and then you've managed to sort of work your way through the lake, and you've managed to get on some fish. Yeah. I mean, when I got here this morning, you had one in the net as well. So
I mean, I've fished 3 swims now since I got here. I lost one the day before, in a swim just down the bay. And while I was down there, I was just watching him in open water, just sticking out and rolling. So I give him a couple of key. And they've not really been on the feed this week, but fish showing that much and how they were, they're feeding fish. So I stuck a couple of kilo out, and over the last 3 days, it's probably had about 4 kilo of bait this swim. So 4 kilo of bait for 4 takes, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I see your rig here.
Yeah.
And it's got a big old bait on.
Yeah, it's not the norm for me. I'd normally use sort of a 14 or a 16mm wafter, but...
So what are you doing? Are you baiting with that size bait as well?
I'm baiting with that exact bait. That is just straight out of the bag, and it's been glugging for 24 hours, but all intents and purposes, it's exactly the same as my free offerings.
Yeah, so you're pretty much fishing match the hatch.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted my hook bait to, obviously, because it's silty, very silty, all the bait you put out, it'll take on the scent of the silt in no time whatsoever. So I wanted my bait. I don't like casting, so if I put my rods out and then hold the bang on, I just want to leave until I get pickup. So if I can preserve the scent, if you like, of that bait, the attractiveness, as long as possible, it's in my interest because it's on the spot then.
I smelt these hook baits when you got them out this morning.
Yeah, they're strong, aren't they?
It's not obviously your average flavourings neither, with the Frankfurt and all the rest of it, is it? So I mean, obviously that's the bait sort of covered. So you're trying to keep your rods in the water as much as long as possible. Obviously, how do you utilise that within your rig? Because I can see that you're using fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
So it pretty much should reset itself.
Yeah,
if it does.
there's a lot of silvers in here, and there's a lot of bird life on it as well. Coots, grebes, and ducks and whatnot, swans, geese, so all sorts. So I needed a rig that will reset itself, and obviously the noodler I tie it with, it being a combi, and this sort of semi-stiff fluoro, it does tend to reset itself. And with it obviously fishing not that well this week, sometimes my rods have been in the water for over 24 hours without touching them, and then I've had a take. So it pays dividends to.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously you've mentioned to myself before that you've sort of changed about. You've played about with this rig and you've changed it quite a bit over the past sort of year or two.
Yeah.
What changes have you made? I mean, the breakdown of the rig obviously is the PB fluorocarbon.
Yep.
And then you've got the armour braid underneath with a shrink tube and a jungle hook, which is what I can see.
Yep.
So obviously, how has that changed over the years? What's made you change it? Sort of why?
Well, there was 2-3 seasons ago. It was you could use barbed hooks on it.
Yeah.
And then the lake got quite bad for trailers, so obviously there's a lot of big carp in here, and the last thing you want is a big 40 or 50 getting tethered. So they swapped to barbless rule only, and the rig that I was using, albeit was fine with the barbed, I was just having drop fish with the barbless, and it was really like bugging me. So the rig itself, the material, like the boom and the supple braid and the slip D, that's exactly the same. But the only thing I've changed is how long the shrink is and the angle of it and the kick. Now, I think the kick at the end of a noodle helps to hold the hook in.
Yeah, as though it sort of sits
over
around the
the
mouth
lip,
of the carp.
And I've touched wood. I've not had any issues since.
I mean, obviously, it doesn't really matter for yourself. If somebody was fishing for sort of 15-pounders, they probably wouldn't need that. But the size of the fish that you're fishing for,
yeah, the big old carp,
and catching, I mean, that is pretty much nothing.
No,
in a sense that.
Oh no.
That the carp's mouth is nothing to it.
No, it's 10 times bigger than what it's trying to get in there.
Yeah, so obviously, it's a very nice concept.
Yeah.
So I mean, tell me more about your time with PB. You know, your consultancy, what comes with it, what your favourite products are. You know.
So I've known Jonathan for quite a long time. I used to work in a tackle shop, and he was one of my customers. And then as soon as I found out that he'd bought PB, I was straight on his heels, so to be honest. So he took me on board as a consultant, and the products, obviously, people are going to watch this and think he's obviously going to say that, but I don't use anything that I don't have 100% faith in.
Yeah.
Now,
well, I mean, the fish that you're banking, you've got, the fish that you are actually fishing for, you want to make sure that they hit the bank.
Yeah, I want to make sure when I get a pickup, it's first time the hook comes out is when it's on the mat.
Yeah, I mean, from the line to your hook, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to have everything.
Yeah, I've got to have utmost confidence in the whole lot.
So, I mean, how long have you been a consultant at PB?
This is my second year. This is my second year with PB now. Loved it. Jonathan's brilliant. Obviously, you're okay. The products are just fantastic, mate. I mean, I use quite a lot of tungsten stuff. The tungsten range from PB is absolutely uncomparable to any other on the market. The fluoro mainline is exceptional, and the jungle hooks they're brilliant. I mean, I touch them up, but
I mean the way that you do actually do it as well is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried sharpening hooks. I've just given up completely. Sharpening hooks now. I just use them straight out of the packet.
I mean, I'm nowhere near as good as what a lot of people that do it. I mean, people do it as a profession, don't they? But
yeah, I mean, I just, like I say, I totally give up. I just use them straight out of the pack. I've never had any problems. I think they're all sharp enough.
Oh, the main thing with the hook, as long as it's got a good point and the strength of the hook, they are super strong. Those hooks.
Obviously, looking at the state of that is absolutely deadly.
Yeah, it's a needle pretty much, isn't it?
Like that is insane how sharp you've got that hook there.
Yeah,
You know, so you've obviously got a fine art in sharpening hooks.
I mean, you could. Carp fishing's a game of percentages, isn't it? As you'll know.
Yeah.
So I think if you can add another % to your armoury, i.e., sharpening the point of the hook, I don't think a fish can pick that up and get rid of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've obviously spoke before about the takes that you get in here as well, and how absolutely manic they go.
Yeah, like to start with, you just get a couple of bleeps, and then that's the fish hooked, and then seconds later, it's just an absolute one-toner.
Which is
The
good,
realisation of I'm actually hooked, dumping the lead and getting off.
The age-old saying of, you know, they didn't know it was hooked sort of thing, which is exactly what you want because you've got less chance of them doing you.
Yeah.
So obviously, tell us more about your last few years fishing, because I know you've had a lot of big fish.
So the last few seasons, I've solely fished on here. I've been back over to RH Fisheries Monument Complex, fished on Lakes 1 and 2. Had quite a few good fish out of both of those waters. I think I've probably fished this place in this last season just gone about 5 times, and including the 40 that I had yesterday, that was my third 40 in the last season out of here.
I mean, you've also had a 50-pounder out of here twice in the same season as well, haven't you?
I had the big one twice out of here, yeah. That was the first season I fished it, that as well.
Which is just insane.
Yeah, dipped in it, some people might say, mate.
You know, was you fishing, so just touching back on, obviously, your tactics and
whatnot. So I changed, obviously, because, like I said, it was barbed, and I used to fish the boom and the braid and the slip deer identical. It just used to be a straight shrink kicker. But I wanted something that helped the hook point stay in. Now, obviously, the noodle kicker does that, in my opinion.
Yeah. So obviously, just going back to it, I mean, the very start when you first ever walked on here, what did you think when you was walking on? You knew all these big fish were in here. Did you ever think you was going to have?
Thought, wow.
Did you ever think you was going to have a 50-pounder twice in the same season, and it'd be your first season, and then multiple 40s after that? Plus some seriously big hits of fish as well.
I mean, it's a crazy place. I mean, all Rob's waters at RH, they're all exceptional. They're all immaculate, run really well, and stacked with big fish. I mean, the first season I did on here was the first session I came on was the first time I'd ever seen the place, and I had the big in the first session.
There you go. Then it speaks for itself.
And then I was lucky enough the session after, which was about 4 weeks later, I had it again. So I mean, that is ridiculous. That's the essence of being dipped in it, but
yeah, but I mean,
I put it down to the fact that
it's the angling skill as well.
I'm using the right stuff to do the job.
The angling skill mixed in with the correct bait and and the right tackle for the job, and it's paid off.
Yeah, like
not
I said,
only once but twice.
All them percentages bundled together is what makes the full package, sort of thing. So I'm sort of just hoping that we get another 40 whilst you're here.
Well, hopefully so. Maybe we'll get one for the cameras while I am here.
It'd be nice, yeah. It'd be really nice.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you anyway, and thank you for your time and everything else.
Thank you very much, mate.
And hopefully the people will see more of you going forward in the future.
I have no doubt.
Thank you very much.